We're just jumping right in, are we?
Just jump right in. Guys, welcome back. Upcoming games from the Bamsters. My name, as always, is Bamm Havoc, and the man who did all the work, he needs all the recognition, and his running point in this episode is Draconis. They think they're going to ease me in slowly back into the swing of things, but I'll let them do what they want to do. Anyway, Draconis, say hi.
Hey, I can't take all the credit. G was supposed to be sitting in the hot seat with you today, but we had a last minute scheduling switcheroo, so he actually put a lot of this stuff in the document, and I just updated it, so.
Nah. Let's face it. You did all the hard work with the typey types and the letters or whatever have you, and then two idiots we're going to discuss the validity of the games that you have selected. Because if G had selected this game, it would be nothing but hentai.
Oh, I already removed a lot of that out of here.
Oh, thank Christ! Because G likes to play these sorts of tricks. He'll put, these are games, yes, but G, these are games.
He saw that I had been removing stuff out of the list, which to his credit, I think he probably had twice as many games in there as we're going to cover. I typically try to keep upcoming games to about 12 or 13 games if possible. I try not to go over that, and there was probably about twice as many games, at least almost as many, or close to twice as many, whatever, in the list. And he's like, "Oh, I saw you were trimming some stuff out." And I said, "Yeah." And I trimmed out that waifu crap too, just because of reasons.
He puts it in there just to troll us,
I know he does. That's why,
Right, Drac. First on the block today, my man. Journey for Elysium VR. Okay, we're still doing VR, are we? I thought VR died. Obviously not.
I hope not. I just got a VR headset a few months back.
Yeah, no, seriously, dude. When the PS5 comes out, and they have promised support for the PS5, I really do hope they actually have like a PS5 VR bundle, because that's what I'll be getting. Definitely get like a 4K resolution screen in the PS5 bundle, whatever have you. I'm all over that. I'll pay for that. I
do hope that they do that, because I know that VR is still early days, or at least the way I look at it, I think it's still kind of early days. It's gone through, hardware-wise, we're seeing, second, third iteration on some of these hardware devices. So it's slowly evolving, and I think that the more it evolves, the cheaper it becomes, the easier it becomes to use, the more likely it'll get adopted more mainstream. So I don't know. I kind of hope that it does, but even if it stays more of a niche product, I really do hope that things continue to get made for VR, because it is a seriously fun way to play video games. I was in a bit of a slump.
I agree.
Yeah, I was in a bit of a slump playing video games for a little while back, and it reinvigorated my interest in video games again, because it was like this whole new world opened up. It was cool.
No, you see, when people burn themselves out in video games, it does sometimes take them a lot to get back into it. I know I burnt myself out with a few things, and funny old thing, Anthem brought me back.
Wow.
Anthem, of all things, brought me back.
Yeah, of all things.
I still love that game. Anyway, we're not talking about Anthem.
Yeah, that'd be like somebody talking about Fallout first, bringing them back.
No.
Yeah, let's not sideline the episode. All right, so Journey for Elysium. This is a story-driven VR game, and basically they say it's inspired by Greek and Roman mythology, and you take on the role of this unnamed hero who's died. So I don't know if you know how or why you've died, but he finds himself in a boat in the underworld, trapped between life and death. And basically, in order to reach Elysium and obtain your redemption, you've got to use all your wits and skills to solve puzzles and whatnot. I guess to get to Elysium. So the neat thing about this game is it's primarily in black and white with a few things here and there that have color. As far as story and adventure games, especially in VR, this is kind of a neat thing, because it strips away all that color and you're just there in black and white except for these few objects here and there. I don't know, I think it looks neat.
Well, okay, if you allow me this one tangent, okay, this actually, I saw a scene with a golden key and I instantly got sucked into the Doom sort of vibe. This reminds me of ancient Doomgar. Just because that gold key, right? Black and white, ancient Doomgar, right? And yes, it just that bit reminded me of it. And look, walking around the scenes and trying to figure out bits and pieces. It's pretty cool. Developer is Mantis, and the publisher is Kronos Interactive. Yeah, looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you want to know what the price is, you have to come back later, because once again, Steam strikes again. I don't know when they went through this change, or if it's always been that way, but I've just been seeing it more and more. I will probably point this out, or I'll try to avoid pointing it out actually for every game that does this, but it's thoroughly annoying when they have a game, especially a game that's this close to release, because actually, as the episode is supposed to go out Wednesday the 30th of October, this game will be releasing today. So
Yay!
Yeah, the fact that we pre-record on the weekends, this is Sunday, so it's only a few days now before release and there's still no price listed on the Steam store. That really bothers me. If you're at a point where you're asking folks to come and wishlist your game, then you should have a price for it at that point.
Okay. And the next game, Peer Gynt the Game. Interesting. Release date on the 16th of October 2019. Ooh.
It's funny. Steam says that for 16th of October, and yet now their planned release date underneath that says November 1st. So
yeah, I know. I'm glad you brought that up. I was waiting for you to sort of correct me because that makes no sense. Like I said, Steam strikes again. Steam strikes.
Oh, and this is another one with no price, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, totally, no price at all. No price. It reminds me of the old school Prince of Persia, but more sort of got that sort of like Pokemon sort of vibe to it, but plays like Prince of Persia. That's what it reminds me of.
I think I could kind of see that. Yeah, this thing, at least from what I've seen from the trailers, it looks like there's probably going to be some quick time events inside of some cutscenes and stuff, which I'm not a real big fan of that kind of thing. But other than that, it looks like it's kind of an interesting game with a neat kind of cartoony style. And I guess this is based off of a play by a Norwegian poet, so that's cool.
Well, I'll let you call out the publisher and developer because I don't know which one is actually the developer. Progress Interactive AS, and the publisher is obviously Peer Gynt AS. So now I'm confused. Who is the developer? Because there's more than one. What?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Happy days.
All right, and I guess we'll go from that to the 4th of November with a fast-paced, bang your head against the screen. They basically call it a runner-type game. This is Tyrannosus's Vecter. This is, if you're familiar with runner-type games where it's more or less you're, speeding along the screen and you've got to shift left or right to avoid objects. This is that kind of thing, and they even hint that later on into the game you'll actually be able to shoot at objects as well. This is, the graphics for this are kind of like neon vector lines. This isn't, blow your mind type graphics. This is more just like, chill with the music and have fun with the gameplay and, moving along at high speeds and avoid stuff like crazy.
You're neglecting to tell people that the actual graphics remind me of the 80s. Proper, full-on 80s sort of scheme and sort of graphics and gameplay. It's all 80s themed, at least it looks like to me.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Although the one question I have about the way you phrase that is I neglected to remind people about something you were thinking.
Neglected. But the thing is, right, I've read that, and I read that as, this is going to sound bad, but I read that as Terra Anus. And I'm like, what? I had to read, what? No, it's Tyrannus. Tyranna, I mean, really. I could go back and say, that's a terrible anus or Terra Anus, or then I could also say, Dinosauros. But I'm not going to say this name too much because I'm getting myself in trouble as it is. It looks like a good game to play. It reminds me of the 80s styles of games, That's what people want. That's the nostalgia they go for. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Man, you just reminded me of a couple of really bad dinosaur jokes. Oh. Okay, let's move on.
God, G isn't here because he'd be repeating those bad dad jokes.
Okay, moving on. November 6th. Now, this is one that, I don't know, this might have to be one that you and I might need to look at picking up and see if we can play together. This is a team RTS. So it's a cooperative RTS game called A Year of Rain. So that's kind of cool to me because when I play RTSs, which is, I don't spend much time playing them. I got a buddy of mine that I go up to play games with in LAN sessions and stuff. And RTSs are one of his favorite game styles. And so we'll play some every once in a while, but the way that we typically play them is as a team against the AI. So I definitely think this will probably end up on our list of games to add to the LAN session playlist.
Yes, the publisher and developer is Data Lake Entertainment, and I must say, Drake, my favorite genre of video game is RTS. I call back upon Red Alert and Command and Conquer and so on and so forth. I believe they lost their way with Red Alert 2 a little bit, but thank goodness there was World of Warcraft Warcraft to save me, because those was epic game. And this reminds me of a World of Warcrafty type thing. And if we can team up together on the same map and then devastate other people, I'll buy this game. I'll play it with your son, because this looks like a lot of fun. The maps remind me a lot of World of Warcraft, and maybe a little bit of StarCraft with some of the desert sort of maps as well.
Well, and that's the thing, is I talk about the co-op part of it, but there is a competitive multiplayer option as well. So there is the ability to play against other folks if that is what you are into.
Hallelujah! We have seen the light. Yes, Drac, when this game comes out, let's purchase it. Let's kick some ass.
Well, I can't tell you how much it costs, just that it comes out on the 6th of November.
Oh, Steam strikes again.
So the 8th of November, just 2 days after that, is a busy day for, at least for our list of games. I'm curious, have you seen the trailers for the new Jumanji movie?
Right. I was a fan of first Jumanji, and I'm not talking about the one with Dwayne Johnson, the very first one, so Robin Williams. Big fan of that, because when I was young, kid, whatever have you, that's the sort of stuff I watched, that Robin Williams sort of thing. This Jumanji reminds me of sort of like the Borderlands version of it,
That's an awesome comparison, actually.
I do think it's like Borderlands. It's got that sort of attitude to it. That's what I quite like. But, Robin Williams, for me, it holds a special place in my heart. No, good actor. I liked him. I liked him as an actor.
Yeah, the dude was amazingly hilarious. But as far as the Jumanji stuff goes, last time I think they went into like a VHS tape or something like that on the rock version of Jumanji, and this time they were, at least the trailer shows them going into a video game somehow, and I guess maybe we get to play that video game that they're going into, because they're releasing a video game on the 8th of November that you can pick up for $39.99, and it's a third-person action-adventure game from the looks of it.
All I know is if you see a hippo, stay away, because they're the most dangerous animals in Africa. The developer is FunSolve Limited, and the publisher is Outright Games Limited. Again, couldn't tell what the price is because Steam.
No. I have a price, $39.99.
I can't see it on the Steam page.
No, Steam doesn't. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's not available like priced on Steam, but when you go out and you look, because it's available on other platforms, I think this is also going to be out on the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One, and those other versions are listed for $39.99, so I would expect that the PC version would also be $39.99.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to several things. The gamers are gamers, right? Regardless of what they use to actually enjoy their video games, right? PC, console, Nintendo Switch, tablet, whatever have it, right?
Okay.
Now, my problem is that Steam tends to set the bar when it comes to pricing. However, the consoles tend to ignore that bar set by Steam. I've noticed quite a few AAA video games going for far cheaper on Steam than what they're currently going for on the PlayStation. Case in point, and I'm only using a case in point, Anthem is still full price on the PlayStation, right?
But can we really use Anthem as a baseline for anything?
I'm using Anthem as a baseline because it's a AAA game, right? That's why I'm using it. And people say, oh, it's not a AAA. Yes, it is. It's made by 2 AAA publishers and developers and whatever have you, and it is a AAA game. It was touted as such.
Really, though?
Yes, it is, though, man. It is.
No, I get what you're saying, and I do agree. It is a AAA game. It may not be... It may not be worthy of the title AAA, but look, there are some really great things about Anthem, but there is a lot to be desired from that game still.
I would agree. I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Right, now after Jumanji, the video game, Death Stranding. Now this is a game everybody's waiting for. Every man and his dog is waiting for. It's got the guy at Breaking Bad. It seems to have a very, very cool story, and I just hope it reminds me of Solid Snake.
You say everyone has been waiting for this?
Well, I have. Aren't I, everyone?
Well, I guess if you look at it that way, because the marketing for this game turned me off to this game so hard. I cannot stand when they release things that are so vague and, like, does anybody even know what the hell this game is actually about anymore, other than just some guy running around this open world with a baby in a bottle strapped to his chest?
You, sir, haven't been watching the live streams, podcasts, adverts, and everything else that goes with this game. The reason why this game is so secretive is because it's from the guy they like bloody secrets. Right?
No, I get that.
This guy knows so much in his freaking head that people haven't figured it out yet. This is why it's all sort of secret. Not even the actors that played the voice parts and got their faces scanned for the game knows what's bloody well going on. I do hope, however, it doesn't turn into a bloody mess, because if you watch, I do dabble in anime and give me for my my geekiness, right? But if on a lot of these anime TV programs, right, they start out slow, they work up to very, very good, and they carry on, and the last sort of season, the last couple episodes, it all goes to shit because they don't know how to end it. They cannot end it. But this guy knows how to end his games and make games and do games, and he's just a game maker. So I'm basing that on the case of previous things. Now, I know I've made this mistake before of basing my cold hard cash and my expectations on someone's past histories, because a lot of those past histories is exact that in the past, because now a lot of things failing. I hope to God this game doesn't fail because I'm buying it, bro.
I don't think the game's going to fail. I think the name recognition for Kojima is going to push this game through. Plus, it's had a lot of positive press. But, here's the thing. You talk about, he keeps a lot of secrets, and that's why people don't know. I thought I saw something where he was even, questioning if he knew what the game was about. And the thing is, at this point, we're just a little over a week from release. I don't want you to give the story away. In a story-based game, I don't need you to give me give the story away. But, I mean, something. All we know right now is Norman Reedus is running around with a baby in a bottle, running from shadows. And there's a few other people who show up in it that have had their faces scanned and done some mocap. And I don't know. I guess I want to know a little bit about the game world and what the heck it is that we're getting into.
And that's probably why he doesn't want to tell you. So leave it there. Let's just leave it there, bro. Let's leave it there. Next on the chopping block is Need for Speed Heat. Yeah, it's a carbon copy of the last Need for Speed with a bit of story elements into it. So what else you need to know is Need for Speed. Get in a car, race cars, collect cars, decal your car, upgrade your car. I like the first Need for Speed. That was pretty cool. I liked Underground. That was very cool. I just got bored of it because it was essentially getting in a car and racing the damn thing. That was it.
I thought you liked those kinds of games.
I do. I prefer my Gran Turismo. You see, it's called growth track, you see. You start with the kiddie games, like Nintendo, and then you grow up and get into, PC consoles. And then you grow up even further and get yourself a PC. You see, it's a growth. Some people take a bit longer to end up on the PC Master Racer list. Like myself, I'm old and I've finally got myself a thing that I can call worthy of perhaps maybe slotting me into the noob section of PC Master Racer. But nonetheless, I've got myself a running, fully working bit of kit. And I still love my PlayStation.
There's nothing wrong with having a soft spot for the consoles you spend a lot of time on. But
the point I'm trying to make ultimately is that, a move from Need for Speed to Gran Turismo, I see it as you want to develop your hand-eye coordination by driving around a track, not necessarily a video game that the victories mean nothing. Gran Turismo that's currently on my PS4 now, right, is excellent. I can race real people on real tracks and do really bad.
But in this game, you can race through the streets of the city and away from cops and
yeah,
you're not into that whole thing, huh?
The third time. No. Been there, done that. I'd much rather play Grand Theft Auto.
Well, what about tuning up the cars? Because I guess this has some kind of garage that you can have your cars in and tweak them and whatnot.
Just like every other game, bro.
All right, so there you have it. Bamm's early review on Need for Speed. More of the same.
It's exactly what it is, more of the same.
But with a new paint job.
Yes, exactly. That's what FIFA does. It's what football does. It's just a reskinned version of the same damn game.
Well, this is EA we're talking about.
Same engine, bro. Frostbite 4 and all that. Nothing new. Paint it over. Redo it.
Well, I guess if you want something new, you'll have to wait till the 12th of November when you...
I'd love to see the budget for this fucking game. You probably found they spend more on marketing what they did on actually development for the game.
Well, if you want something new, I guess you'll have to wait till the 12th of November when Doctor Who: The Edge of Time VR comes out. Now, I think this might be... I know it's going to be available on PC, on Steam. I thought it might be available on PlayStation 4 or PSVR, but don't quote me on that. Basically, you play as the Doctor, and it's a puzzle game, and... it's for VR headsets, so if you're a big Doctor Who fan and you have a VR headset, I can't see why you wouldn't want to get this one.
Okay, I'm going to say something now that people are going to shoot me for. I've never, ever been a fan of VC's Doctor Who.
Oh,
ever.
Nope.
It's terrible.
You don't have to worry about getting shot for that. I said that in a few episodes back with G, and I told him I watched part of one episode and the cheese factor was off the charts, and I just didn't understand why people were so into it. Now, granted, I only watched part of an episode, and I'm... folks will ask me sometimes about when a new show comes out, if I'm watching it and if I like it. And my answer to them is always, I can't really say until I've seen at least about 5 episodes of it to kind of give it a fair shake. And I haven't done that yet with Doctor Who. But I guess the cheeseball factor is part of the allure to it. from what I've heard. But yes, I'm not a massive Doctor Who fan. I haven't really watched, like I said, other than maybe half an episode. So yeah, I can't talk too much to it.
Give it a season, because I prefer to give it a season. Even if you dislike it, keep watching it, because you might find something you like. You always give it one season. Now, the developer is Maze Theory, and the publisher is PlayStation. Again, it's Doctor Who with VR. I've never been a fan of it. But before everyone starts putting up the pitchforks, whatever have you, right? Red Dwarf is something very near and dear to my heart, okay? So there's some redeem there. So
Alright, and the next one coming up on the 15th of November is one that had I not been here, I told the guys they had to make sure to mention, because I figure it's going to be a pretty big release for November. This is the single-player Star Wars game out from EA, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You'll hear Bamm complain about it because he's not all that thrilled or enthusiastic about it, but I'm excited that we're going to get a story-driven Star Wars game again. I'm not, the fact that it's single-player is not that huge a deal to me, although I know it is to some folks. I would be totally okay if I could play this co-op as well as single-player, but it is a single-player game that I'm probably going to pick up and put some time in, and I don't do that with too many single-player games.
I refuse to comment because I might upset.
Bam's afraid of Star Wars fans.
Me being a Star Wars fan and a Star Trek fan, G doesn't seem to comprehend or able to sort of understand that. But I love me some freaking Star Trek. However, Star Trek have got it right, whereas the Star Wars have got it wrong. The new Star Wars films are terrible. Utterly terrible. The new Star Trek films are freaking brilliant. I love it. It's bringing a bit of rock and roll into the classics, bro. I tell you what, I love the new Star Wars films. Nah. And I'm sorry, but a bit of that bitterness and a bit of that silliness has caught up with me. Disney's broken it. Thank you, Disney. Thank you very, very much. And this Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is just more of the same. It is just more of the same.
But how can you say that if you don't know enough about what story it is that they're telling? Like, I get what you're saying about the movies, because I've got mixed feelings about both the Star Wars and the Star Trek movies. Although I will say one thing I did really like about what they did with the Star Trek movies is rather than just do a complete remake, they kind of, fractured a timeline in a way, and so they could tell their own stories, and I'm kind of cool with them, how they did that. But with regards to Jedi Fallen Order, the video game that we're talking about, how can you say that it's that bad when you really don't know enough about the story yet?
Dude, I've played The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. They'll never be able to beat that. But what I was trying to pull at is that what happened in the past was better than what's happening now. And I got a very funny feeling this has got the same sort of vibe. The current story these guys are going to pull out now is going to be nothing compared to The Force Unleashed, Force Awakens, whatever that's what it's called. I've played myself The Old Republic on the Xbox. Love those games as well. But they're not going to be able to hold a freaking match, feather, or dynamite stick to any of them, So this is why I keep saying it's more of the same. It's going to be more drivel, because all these companies are doing is saying, we'll put a title on it and then we'll make it. Rather than make a good game and then title. It's more to do about the titles and the names and the people's making the bloody games now than what the actual game is about, which is actually quite frustrating.
Well, this is coming out from Respawn and EA, which, people have been clamoring for EA to lose exclusivity to the Star Wars license. One of those reasons being that all they've been putting out is the Battlefront games, which, haven't been received all that well, and the whole loot box fiasco and all of that nonsense. But, Respawn, they put out a couple of interesting games with the Titanfall universe. Then they also had the Battle Royale Apex Legends, that was rather popular. But the game looks interesting. I'm definitely willing to give it a shot. In fact, I'm looking forward to picking it up. It's only, it's your typical $59.99 price tag, but I guess if you want a few of the cosmetic add-ons, you can pay an additional $10, but I don't really see the point of getting a couple of extra handles and like a different colored lightsaber. But the story takes place, I think it's when all the Jedi are being eliminated, if I remember correctly. So it's going back to that time frame when the Empire was basically taking over, the Senate had fallen, and they're out there trying to kill Jedi. So it's going back in a further timeline. It's not messing with the stuff that's going on currently in the movies.
What are you talking about? The Senate are the Empire. The Emperor dissolved the Senate, but the Senate were the ones that put the Star Troopers in place. What are you talking about? You've broken your own timeline there, Sunshine.
No, the Senate was a democracy that was then infested and taken over, and when the Senate was dissolved, that was a form of government that went away. That was when the Empire stood up.
Modeled on Julius Caesar. Or at least that's my take on it. It was the Senate that voted through lies and manipulation incorrectly, and then they voted to have all these bits and pieces put up by the ambassador of Naboo, which was your favorite character, and your favorite character, ambassador of Naboo. I think it was Naboo. Was it the ambassador of Naboo that said do this, whatever? Anyway, long story short, they're the ones that tried to do good because initially the rebellion were the bad guys, and it turns out, oh no, plot twist, the rebellion are the good guys and the Senate are the bad guys. The Senate gets dissolved, becomes evil. Anyway, you're trying to make up a story where there's no story to be made. Let's just wait and see the game before we cast our judgment, and I'm keeping a rather critical eye on this one.
That was my point to you.
Nice. Right, on the 21st of November, besides all the Star Warsy bits and pieces, Asterix and Obelix, right? The Crystal Menhir, I can't pronounce that. That's a G word that I don't care to pronounce. Yeah, Asterix and Obelix. It reminds me of some Lego games because of the way they move and the way it looks. It does remind me a lot of Lego.
That, okay. I mean, if you're looking at the trailer, it looks nothing like Lego, but okay.
No, seriously, the way it's animated, the way they're moving about, you watch the gameplay, it reminds me of the Lego. It really does. To me it does, anyway, right?
I can kind of see that there's a little bit of that same kind of, like, cartoony, I don't know what you call it, like, attitude, movement, whatever, personality to it that's similar to, like, Lego, sure.
Cute game, a lot of fun. Not my type of thing, and it's way out of my price bracket at $29.99. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's a really cutesy, cartoony game. Obviously in the Asterix and Obelix universe, and yeah, you're right. I mean, we haven't seen. Well, I guess over here in the U.S., I would have seen even less of it because I know this was far more popular over in the Euros. But from time to time, I would see a few things here and there for Asterix and Obelix. So I think it's cool that they're making something in this world, especially for fans of the old comics and cartoons.
No, I haven't seen. And Obelix was a massive comic strip, and I believe it's French. I'm going to say it's French.
I think it is. If I remember right, I think it was French.
I think Tintin is. I'm going to say Tintin's French. It's probably not, but it was Tintin and Obelix. Asterix and Obelix. The two comic books that I read quite voraciously because they were great stories. They really were. And I know they all got turned into cartoons or whatever, and I watched them as well. And they were bloody great cartoons. Now that reminds me of my childhood, but I'm not prepared to go and pay that much money for it. You know what I mean?
I think that this is probably one of those things that banks on either people who enjoy the style of gameplay, which looks like, either the camera looks pretty far back in some angles and other angles it's top down, but either the folks who enjoy that type of gameplay or, are really fans of Asterix and Obelix.
You see, no, not that I live in France. I don't know what the reception of this game is the characters are in France, but the heyday of Asterix and Obelix was back in the 90s, I think it was. Early 90s? I am guessing here, right? Don't quote me on any of this. And Tintin and Obelix and Asterix and God, there was quite a few actually. But those were back in those days. The heyday of those characters done. I just hope this game receives a much bigger reception in, I'm gonna say France. I'm gonna say it, because I don't know. I hope to God it does well, because, it's Asterix and Obelix. You always want to see them do.
Well, but here's the thing, we always talk about Nintendo and how they're banking on nostalgia and stuff like that, and they've very successfully built a business, in some cases, on nostalgia. And we've seen other companies doing very similar things with remasters of old games. So, yeah, I mean, I would say I think there probably is a market for this.
I hope so as well, because speaking of remasters, Red Alert's getting remastered, son. Boom, boom.
Well, the next one we have on our list, you guys talked to these folks, was it at EGX or something, EGX Res or something like that last year?
Are you talking about Baobabs Mausoleum?
Yeah.
Great guy. That's all I'm going to say about it. Great guy. A lot of soul. A lot of a lot of soul. Okay, this is a game that's out there, right? It's totally out there. But then, why do you want to play a game that's based in any sort of sense sometimes? So if you've got yourself a 3DS or a laptop, whatever have you, and you play this style, it reminds you of sort of games in the 90s and 80s, right? Now, I've played episode 1. I haven't played episode 2, and episode 3 is coming out. So yes, essentially, you're playing a vampiric eggplant.
Okay. Well, how does that work? I have so many questions now. A vampiric eggplant.
Well, the vampiric eggplant likes vampiric peaches. Yep.
So he feeds off of peach juice. Okay.
No, he doesn't. No, not at all. Not at all. Look, right, I'm gonna say this now. I could not begin to tell you what is going on. Right. I could not begin to tell you, okay? But I tell you what, it's a lot of fun playing it. It's somewhat puzzle-based, okay? And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. This game is essentially everything that's inside the developer's mind, okay? So when you play it, make sure that you know very well that the eggplant is actually Jacob, right? Jacob Jazz, because that's the developer, and, you know, he likes this old sort of VHS sort of style.
Cool.
Can you see I'm trying to divert the topic quite quickly, because these games, right, you've got to... Yeah, it's not the normal type of game. You've got to go in there with an open mind, right? You really do. Because if you think, up means down. Sorry, up means up and down means down. Not a chance, sweet pea. Figure it out. And that's what I think a lot of people get frustrated with in these sort of games.
Well, we don't have a price for this game. Episode 1 was $2.99 and episode 2 was $5.99. So I guess maybe this could be $5.99, or maybe it continues the upward trend and it could be as much as $9.99. Who knows?
Even at $9.99, right? That's a steal. It's an absolute steal. This game command a $15 price tag.
I saw something not too long ago. There was an article that was talking about how indie devs are often underpricing the games that they release on markets like Steam and whatnot. So yeah, I totally understand that.
I do think first one was worth about 10, right? The second one was worth about 12 maybe. Third one should be about 15. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? I had a lot of fun going, what the fuck have I just done? Why? Huh? And then laughing at yourself that you've gone ahead and done all these things. And then you see the Baobab tree and all these bits and pieces. But, you know, it was good speaking to Jacob about this game, because I explained to him, do you know what the Baobab actually is? Like, well, it's a tree. He said, no. The Baobab is what they call the upside down tree, right? Because back in mythology or some sort with, I think it's the Ndebele, the gods pissed off the trees or something and cast the trees out of heaven, and they fell on their heads, which is why the tree looks the way it does. Some mythos or ethos are out, but I'm not too sure. But I hope to God it works. Maybe he's incorporated that into it. I don't know, but never mind.
All right, and the last one on our list, the 22nd of November, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts. This will you'll play as a hired assassin, but beware, because there will be rival snipers, quote-unquote, on the board that will be looking to take you out. So this is not a multiplayer game, which that immediately when I read that tagline, I was thinking this is multiplayer and you're playing against other snipers trying to get the kills. But no, this is single player. You're playing as an assassin taking a contract, but apparently you're not the only assassin that's taken the contract. And I guess it only matters who comes back alive is the person who gets to collect, so...
See, now that is a big disappointment. I mean, who doesn't want to play as a freaking assassin sniper? I mean, that's the coolest thing. The best assassin sniper is Antonio Banderas. Think of the film I'm trying to reference. Can you?
I know which film you're talking about, and damn it if I can remember.
It's called Assassin's Mate. Come on.
Oh yeah, Sylvester Stallone was in that one too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. I didn't want to say Sylvester Stallone because that would have given it away straight away, which is why I pulled in Antonio Banderas. Because, you know, I did lead you into it, but never mind. Anyway, you know, it would have been a lot of fun if you have other people on the board all trying to get the kill or take the other ones out so they don't get the kill. That would have been pretty bloody cool. And I bet they can do it, but they were just scared it would fall.
Well, that is one of the things that I think with that type of game mechanic, I think they do maybe, or they have maybe missed some potential here. I'm not upset that it's not PvP. Although, having said that, I would have been cool if there was an option for PvP.
Just think about it, right? Just lay the land. I'm gonna put down upon you now, lay the land. You're in the mountains. It's snowy, right? You've got a red helicopter landing. You've got a diplomat walking out. Your boys walking to the red diplomat. There's several different snipers around the field. Each of them are actual players. And they're all looking for each other. They're all looking for breath, or the glint of your scope, or sudden move. And all those bits and pieces are controlled by you. And if you do anything wrong, they see you, they pop you, and they kill the guy. I'm trying to describe a shooter scene, right? The ending scenes in Shooter.
Yeah.
Seen the film Shooter? Yeah?
Yep.
That, I must say, is one of the coolest ending sort of scenes of any movie. Where you basically go bang, 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 and oh yes, you were there, bang. I tell you what, amazing. Absolutely chuffing amazing. How cool would that be as a game?
It could certainly be really cool, but I have a feeling that what would end up happening is that it would turn into like this multiplayer deathmatch type thing where people are running around shooting at each other, vice, actually setting up a sniper's nest. Because you would all load into the map at the same time, sure, but you wouldn't, I don't know if you would necessarily get the time that you would need to set up that sniper's nest, so to speak, before everything goes off.
This is where you use clever mechanics, sharp wit to disable basically running from one mountaintop to the next. Each guy's got his own building per se. Each guy's got his own zone per se. Can't necessarily leave that zone. Whatever. I'm not trying to build a game here. I'm just trying to offer an idea. They can't leave that particular zone, and there's only one person in that zone. So on.
I would say maybe not allowing them to leave the zone until after the match begins, so that way you give everybody a chance to set things up without actually allowing them to see the other areas and what's going on. That could maybe work then. But getting back to the game at hand, at least some of the features that they're listing that they have in this game is, they're saying there's an all-new dynamic reticle system that should offer the most realistic and intense sniping experience. There's an upgradable AR mask that gives you the ability to scan the environment and, I guess even highlight some weaknesses of, your enemies and whatnot and their guards. You get all kinds of gadgets, drones, remote sniper turrets, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot more to this than just, simply a guy hiding in the woods or, up on a mountain with a gun. It sounds like there's quite a bit more to this as far as, as you play through the game and getting access to other things.
This would have been a really cool multiplayer game. Really cool. If only they'd managed to make the mechanic work. I'm sure they tried it. I give these guys a bit of credit here. I'm sure they've tried it. They just couldn't get the mechanics to work.
Well, in the previous Sniper series games, they've been fun. I've had quite a bit of fun with those. So this is one that I won't pick up at release because it's single player and I just don't get enough time for single player games. But it is one that I'll probably throw on a wish list for a later time when I have some time.
Well, for me, $39.99 is a bit prohibitive, so I'm not going to bother. This close to Christmas, I'd much rather spend my money on other things that are a bit more relative, more Anthem stuff. I was joking. I was joking. I told you, 15 quid, son. I'm invested. And that, ladies and gentlemen, rounds up our upcoming games for November. Guys, thank you very much for putting up with us. Thank you very much for trying to understand Drax's bad dad jokes, because, I do understand him being a dad. Can't help but make them. Yeah, them jokes. Anyway, guys, from myself, Bamm Havoc, I love all you people. Thank you very, very much. Please do not forget to click subscribe, ring the bell. Yes, even I'm saying it now because apparently we need to, and YouTube likes those sorts of things. So, cheers. Thank you. Ta.
Yep, it really helps us out, and we greatly appreciate it. So, from Drac, thank you very much, and I'm out.